What does Jesus' session at God's right hand mean? Imagine a scene where someone is seated at the most important throne in the universe. That's what it means when we say Jesus is sitting at God's right hand. It's a way of showing his special position of honor and authority after his resurrection and ascension into heaven. When Jesus finished his work on earth, he was exalted to this high place, meaning he now rules over everything as King and Messiah. This position confirms that his mission of saving humanity was completed and that he now exercises divine power. Sitting at God's right hand isn't about a physical seat but a symbol of his supreme authority and divine status. The phrase comes from the Bible, especially from the Old Testament, where sitting at the right hand meant being given a place of honor and power. In the Bible, the idea is rooted in Psalm 110:1, where God tells the Messiah to sit at his right hand until enemies are defeated. Jesus himself quoted this verse to show his identity and authority. After his resurrection and ascension, the New Testament writers describe Jesus as being exalted to this position. For example, in the book of Acts, it says Jesus was seated at God's right hand after his ascension into heaven. This act of sitting down signifies that his redemptive work is finished. He no longer needs to suffer or die again because his sacrifice was enough. Now, he reigns as king and high priest, interceding for believers and ruling over all powers and rulers. His enemies are being subdued as his kingdom grows through the spread of the gospel. This session at God's right hand also shows that Jesus is actively involved in the world today. It means he is not distant or inactive but reigning with authority and working on behalf of his followers. When believers think of Jesus seated at God's right hand, it gives them confidence that he is in control, guiding history and advocating for them in heaven. The connection between his ascension and his session at God's right hand is important. The ascension marks his return to heaven after his earthly ministry, and his sitting at God's right hand confirms his exalted status. It's a sign that Jesus has been given the highest honor and authority in heaven and on earth. In simple terms, Jesus sitting at God's right hand means he is now the supreme ruler, having finished his work of salvation and now reigning with divine authority. It shows that he is actively involved in governing the universe and advocating for believers. This truth helps us understand his ongoing role in our lives and the world. It reminds us that Jesus is not just a historical figure but a reigning king who cares for us and guides history toward his ultimate plan.